I seriously was about to start this video promising this will be the last I rant about this topic. But I know it's not, and for good reason. Yes, I'm still pissed about season 2's ending. Even after nearly a month after the fact, I'm still furious at what happened in those last 2 episodes. As to make sure this isn't just me repeating what I said in my last video, I'm going to include points from other Warwick mains who share in my grief, and also clarify a few things I've been told since the ending, starting with Fight back! Still I ask, what was the fucking point? In the last video I said I understood they had a story they wanted to tell, but that's long since died in me. I don't understand. What was the idea? What was the plan? This story they've been crafting for 7 years, since his rework all went down the fucking toilet, as Warwick fans had been wondering how he knew both Vi and Jinx since 2014, and the story they've been hammering into our skulls that's about family. They set it all up and ripped it all away at the very end. I repeat, for what? From a writing standpoint this makes no sense. I'm not gonna pretend I could write a masterpiece, but the noticeable drop in quality in the writing is so infuriating. What was the end goal? To make us sad? Did they really need to fuck up Warwick's design and story just to get that out of us? No, they fucked up his design and character to shoehorn out a shitty rework for Viktor that has been under fire by the vast majority of his players. I'll get to Viktor later. Trust me, I will, but for the time being let me tell you a much better way they could have ended his story in the show. After Ishikami him in episode 6, they could have easily had him regenerate as the full wolf we see in game, as death was the final thing he needed in his lore to transform. After that have him escape into the streets of Zorn. And I know what you might be thinking. Sounds too simple, right? No, since we now know Warwick is their father, it doesn't take a big imagination to infer that. Since they know who Warwick is, it makes sense why he acts the way he does, and why he struggles the way he does. He was almost healed, leading to him being in an even bigger struggle with his humanity and the beast within him. And to add to the heartbreak they tried so hard to get out of us, guess what? Vi and Jinx now know it's their father. It would not have taken much to get Warwick where he needed to be in the story and break our hearts, as this could set up future stories. Now armed with the knowledge of who he is, I repeat, killing Vander does not make sense. And before you try to tell me, but Collector, Viktor needed Vander's blood or else he would have died from his injury, to that I say, bullshit. Viktor's story did not require Warwick in any capacity. To make sure my feelings aren't me just being upset about Vander still, on Reddit I asked Warwick mains, am I petty for still being so upset? And I asked Viktor mains if they think Viktor's new story truly required Warwick, and the responses didn't surprise me.
That's for yesterday, SquarePants!
A great deal of Warwick mains and Viktor mains not only shared my feelings, but actually gave their own ideas and opinions on the whole ordeal, as it doesn't take a genius to understand how it's not only really dumb they don't commit to the story they've been setting up for 7 goddamn years, but the fact that they killed Vander 4 times. 4 fucking times. 3 in the span of 4 episodes. In the last video I mentioned how erasing Vander's humanity and memories made all of Act 2 pointless, but upon further realization, not only does it make the story of Act 2 pointless, it removes a massive chunk of the emotional impact of the scenes in Act 2 as well. What have they done to us? As beautiful and peak fiction as it is, gets gutted because of it, and Remember Me is completely made pointless, because in 2 episodes there's another montage of all his memories being completely wiped, and like, yeah, that's super sad, but what was the point? And that's the big issue when it comes to his story. They were doing it perfectly up until the end of episode 6. That's when it nosedives off a cliff to shift all focus onto Viktor. I don't know how much creative freedom the Arcane team was given when it comes to the story, but it's insane how quickly things turned south. A lot of people pointed out the pacing felt a lot faster and a bit rushed compared to the massive slow burn that was season 1. But truth be told, I was okay with it, because when it came down to it, the moments I came for, the 7-year story payoffs I wanted to see, they did perfectly, so the fast pacing didn't bother me. But then they seemingly decided to do their own thing.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
There's taking creative liberties, and then there's just completely ignoring the source material. They completely fuck up Warwick's design and story, just to force out a Viktor rework and legendary skin. And I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't piss me off. And to show I'm not alone in this.
No screams.
No, I'm still upset at it myself. Actually ruined my enjoyment of the show. I know the themes around Vander is how he's a tragic character either way given what Warwick is, but like, holy shit, that was just poorly written all around. On a show that was honestly really good until then. Nope, I feel the same way. Always will. Nope, I still hate that design. And will 100% hate it even 10 years from now. Once something sucks, it sucks forever. That's how it is. Also, for what it's worth, I'm also upset over how Act 3 not only handled Warwick, but Viktor too. Viktor not being a tinkerer who secretly improved his own frail body through robotics was complete ass. I'm still salty about the Zack law change from half a decade ago where they killed his parents. So no, you are not petty. Although it would have been almost as disappointing, I think it would have been better if Van Wyck had died in Isha's explosion and disappeared during Act 3, and then at the end, when we see what happened sometime after the war, we had a short scene of Warwick in his final form hunting some Kembaran. I truly believed Jace blasting a hole through him was going to be the gateway into him creating his mechanical body. His physical body was destroyed, leaving only his astral form. So what better excuse is there to make a machine body that won't be frail and succumb to death in the same way a human body would? I was so excited telling my friends about my hopes for that to be the case. Unfortunately what we got was very different, so I believe no, Warwick was not necessary at all for Viktor's plot, and I'm sorry for your loss as well. No joke, I feel like the third act went through a severe rewriting process that messed up with everything established before, just for a bit of subverting expectations. I'll give you one worse. You guys very easily could have had your Warwick. Isha blew them up. The story could have continued exactly as it was going, but after the child detonated him, replace him with wolf parts. Simple, clean, easy, and you guys would probably have gotten some cleaner tune-up animations. But no, he's a glass, careless doll now for some reason. At this point, I feel like I've ranted long enough about Warwick, but I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. I could write an entire thesis statement about all of the things wrong with how they handled him in Arcane. And on that note, for the people telling me to get over it, well, 1. Fuck off, I don't want you watching my videos. And 2, you just proved to me you don't care about the character, that you're just here for the stats and nothing else. And to that I say, get over all the LP you lost yourself and your team first, and then come talk to me. If you have the audacity to tell someone who waited nearly a decade for something to simply get over it, then you should really get over the violent ass beating you're about to get. I'll rant about Riot's treatment of Warwick, as long as I damn well please, because it doesn't just end at Arcane.
$7? Are you fucking serious? This isn't enough for anything. What are you, a 6-year-old?
I'm not going to dwell too much on this one because 1. They already confirmed they are going to fix both him and Ambessa at some later date, and 2. because I'm only just now getting into Legends of Runeterra for myself. I'm completely new to the game and loving it so far. Before I looked to this game for the same reason a lot of others do, the lore. While Riot decided to shaft lore stories and world building, Legends of Runeterra has been carrying the game's lore on its back, and when the champion I wanted second most was getting added, you can probably imagine the disappointment I felt when they not give him any voice lines or interactions with other champions, especially the ones that would really be interesting. You know, his actual daughters. It would be a nice way to show that he's still in there. I like Nasus and Renekton's interactions because of how tragic and well written they are. Plus it's the only real lore we'd be getting for Warwick for a while. So while I'm still extremely disappointed that Riot has almost completely given up on the game, I can at least hope they keep their word and give him the interactions and level up animations other champions got. Though it does make me wonder how they are going to have his interactions with Viktor work, if they have them interact at all, since the one in Legends of Runeterra is old Viktor. And speaking of Viktor,
Viktor Nation, how we feeling?
I'm also not going to spend too much time on Viktor since I'm not a Viktor main. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on in-game Viktor, since I don't play him. I don't see it fair that I comment on anything revolving his real work in game. though I will say it was unfair for their character to get completely removed from his Machine Herald story to the Arcane Jesus we see in the show. As such, I will only talk about his story in Arcane. Truth be told, before episodes 8 and 9 I really liked Viktor. I liked every character honestly. Everyone's story made sense. Everyone was well developed. It all made sense.
And you have just fucked all of them!
I still need to know what they were smoking in the writer's table. I don't know what's more insane, the sudden shift in Viktor's morals, or the entire change of his story, when it could have led to his original. As Viktor Maines told me, him getting a hole blown in his chest could have been the gateway to him getting a mechanical body. Singed was there. He easily could have built Viktor a new body and even mechanicalized his followers, so they could have kept the battle they wanted in the end. But no, for some ungodly reason they needed to include Warwick in not only changing Viktor, but changing himself as well. Truth be told, I hated Act 3 so much I haven't fully watched Season 2 since then. That's a big reason I haven't included a lot of footage in this video. It seriously fucking hurts to watch. And here's where I talk about that scene. That fucked up scene, where they use Vander's blood to save Viktor, killing him in the process, ignoring how basically pointless it makes Act 2. Why did they go out of their way to show Vander being gruesomely torn away? It's somehow the worst thing to happen to Warwick, and not even the last, because they are not even done with him. Viktor, despite being a good person throughout the entire series before this, even going as far to help Vander get his memories and life back for days on end, decides, not only is he going to strip humanity away from everyone against their will, even going as far to say they don't have a choice, but to achieve this, he knowingly sacrificed an innocent man. I can't stress how fucked up this is. This scene is the sole reason I haven't been using footage from the season, and I'm not going to show it still. I'm not showing that shit, or looking at it either. You could argue Singed or Ambassador is more to blame. But Viktor in the episodes prior said with his own mouth the process would destroy him, that he isn't a specimen, that he's a person who he would know better than anyone else how much he was suffering. My problem with Viktor most of all is that despite his seemingly good nature he decided to kill a man who not only suffered, but had nothing to do with the situation he's in. Vander didn't hurt him, but he went and sacrificed this man anyways, and to top it all off, he did all of this for nothing in the end. Viktor doesn't succeed. He and Jace disappear in the very end, meaning his transformation and Vander's death were for nothing. And I want you to tell me I'm wrong. I know this was a shitty writing decision, that this was either a rewrite or an attempt to get a reaction out of the audience and nothing else. Simply because it's never brought up. Viktor never questions his decision, nor does he even regret it. He just kills a man with no thought or care and pushes on, leading to an ending where it seems the moral of the story is to sacrifice yourself and die. Nothing was established by the ending. Nothing was truly conclusive, and in forcing Vander into Viktor's story that didn't need to be changed in the first place, they only managed to make both worse, and not just their story, but other champions too. Blitzcrank and Camille, two champions who aren't even in Arcane and aren't mentioned, are completely fucked over by these decisions. It's insane how many characters that get fucked over simply due to the writers making this fanfiction. Blitzcrank, originally created by Viktor to help Zorn. Camille, she was powered by Hextech, and can't exist now, because Hextech is gone. And Warwick, ignoring how the design transition from Magic Golem to Chimera Wolf doesn't make any goddamn sense. How is he supposed to become the Warwick we know? He's missing all of the technology and chemical tanks on his body. They are fused to him, and the tank on his back is missing. They are gone now, so now he can't be the one we know. Singed got what he wanted. He has no reason to go back and work on Warwick unless Riot decides to make Warwick a new Narcissus bitch, which would be the absolute worst outcome. Narcissus is so fucking boring. I know it has its fans, but I'm not one of them. It's just might makes right and immoral people. But at this point I'm getting ahead of myself. Riot had one chance. 7 years. 7 years we waited, and it all went down the drain. Ever since the ending I've felt hollow, dead inside, and now I can't even be excited for all of the new material they show. They burned me too hard, and now, I don't think I can keep supporting Riot after that. I was happy to see Mel again in the new cinematic, and Darius vs Trundle was hot, but I can't really say much more than that, so thanks. Thanks Riot for killing my love for the world you created.